That way you don't have drop box issues. And there's a lot of things that can be done.
Oh, that's what
Well, if you've seen the ballots I proposed, they had watermark on them with the silver raised emblem on them, so you could not make copies.
They were pretty.
Exactly.
They were pretty, but here's the part about it: they could not be reproduced because the paper on your money cannot be reproduced, and that was the issue. So someone would have to have access to the paper of which was printed. The other thing is that with Dominion, the security on the Dominion machines is cut off. Even though it has security paper they're using, there is no security.
They turned it off.
They turned it off.
We know that.
One
thing that also number 437 says that we're to physically count the ballots at the precinct, not just the ballots, but the races. Put it on a signed poll pad.
Taking off the code, so when the person puts their ballot in, right now the QR code is what the machine reads rather than the ballot, and that's the other thing that needs to be fixed.
Absolutely. The precinct like we should be, which that's the law. We're not enforcing the law we got. Thank you so much for serving.
Hey, Senator, can we ask you one more question? We're with Small Town Underground and War Room Gwinnett. So there have been a lot of controversies surrounding the Dominion machines, and a lot of data scientists have presented information. Would you support unplugging Georgia and just going to hand-counted paper ballots? Would you support legislation of that kind?
If
that's what your constituents are asking of you?
I think that's what the constituents are looking for. They want a system they can trust. That's the biggest issue that we are, and we've had that. Florida has done a lot to create and get their ballots cleaned up. The biggest part is this: when you come to register, where we did with the voter ID, not signatures, that was a major part that needed to be done. Drop boxes that were unidentified, and then I think it's even the QR code issue was my other part. The QR code, you vote, you can't tell what's going on, and it should have the responsibility to read the ballot as you marked it, and that's the part that I see that the voters want. They want to trust the system, and I think more people, if they're going to, they need to trust government, but that means government's got to be accountable. So that's the part we're working on.
So where can people start at this point? Because it's been our theory at War Room Gwinnett and also at Small Town Underground that we don't need to see another presentation of the irregularities right now. Like you just said, people want a system that they can trust. So at this point in time right now here in the state of Georgia, what would be your recommendation to your constituents at this point who would like to see Georgia unplugged? And, let's go to hand-counted paper ballots. Hey, let's maybe even make the voting a day off from work from everybody, and let's put everybody in the room and count, and whoever wins.
The counting a paper ballot will work. I mean, from that standpoint, if done properly. I think that what we've got to do is this: we've got to educate people to the process. The other part is that we need citizens involved in the election process, that at their polling places, they need to be working and they need to see what's going on. I try to do this on election day. I go to all the various polls in my district that I can, just to see how is that being done. Are they verifying what's going on? I will say this year, it was great because guess what? They had to have an ID either issued by the state of Georgia or they had to have a driver's license that was valid. I even did this. I pulled driver's license in my counties. Well, and for those kids that are under 18, so they can't vote anyhow, and all non-citizen drivers as well. And the numbers were fairly close. So we're doing a whole lot better than what we were doing from that standpoint, because you've got people who are non-citizens who have driver's license, and that's the part we've got to watch from that standpoint. People want to know this verifiable. If we do this, I think people, I look at the lottery, I look at some of the other things. Hey, they're tight on that because the money's there. The votes are just as important and more so from that standpoint, that we watch counterfeit money, we have special paper, we have things that are going on. Same thing needs to be done for our ballots. We did.
And lastly, and we'll let you go. How can people find you and follow you and reach out to you if they want to seek your support on moving forward with election integrity?
My office is here, my assistant as far as that. And then the committees that handle that is the Ethics Committee, which I was on last year. I'm going to find out whether I'm still on it or not. But that we did a lot of the work that was done in this prior election just to clean it up as far as that. Because I think people, they want to know that the election's fair. They're willing to accept. If they believe it's right, they're willing to accept it. And we just need to build that trust into people. Trust is vitally important in anything you do, is to have trust in the process. Okay.
All right, guys, we're here with Small Town Underground and also War Room Gwinnett County, and we're here with Senator Clint Dixon. Clint, so good to see you, man. We know you're a champion for school choice and different things. What are some of your main goals for this session here that you can tell people?
Yeah, so one piece of legislation will be dropping here pretty quick that I ran actually last year, and it got caught up in the House with some politics, but it's making sure that sex ed in schools K through 12 is abstinence based, and that any student under 6th grade would not be taught sex ed. It would be after 6th grade and after. Also in that bill, be a comprehensive bill, also getting explicit materials out of libraries. So that'll be a big one that'll be hitting the ground here in the next, probably this week we'll be dropping it.
Hey, well, how about that? Explicit materials out of the classrooms and out of libraries. That'll be great. Okay, here's another question. With the exacerbation of the southern border, we've got, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 million illegals here. We're in Gwinnett County, that's where I'm in, but this affects all counties. What can we do to ensure the taxpayers of those county areas where things like food stamps and other things like that are being dispersed, maybe even them getting loans for homes and stuff like that? We don't want to fund and pay for this illegal invasion. How can we do something or put forth something to make sure that these offices can be audited in the proper manner to make sure that our tax money, because people fall on hard times. We won't have any problem with people getting food stamps from time to time and working their way out of that process, but we definitely don't want to give those things to illegal aliens.
Yeah, I mean, I would, in great question, but I would support any legislation that would clean up those roles and make sure that it is legal citizens getting those benefits here in the state, because that's one of the big pushes that we're going to need to do here, statewide. And most of the issues with the illegal immigration is going to be held at the federal level, but we've got to support the president in his agenda here at the state level. So yes, I believe there are a few measures that we're looking at this year.
Okay, and
Mr. Raffensperger. Mr. Raffensperger. Mr. Raffensperger, can you answer some questions today? No, not today? Where they were going?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's in there.
Wow. Okay. Here we are. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. Can we go in?
Can we?
I don't know. Hey. Oh, this is fancy.
what's going on, Mr. Sterling?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Hey.
Can you answer a couple questions?
After use the bathroom, maybe.
Okay.
After you'll come back and answer?
Maybe. Depends.
Maybe.
Depends, huh? Is Mr. Raffensperger in?
He's here. I saw him.
Is he?
And you can vote.
Hey, is he in?
Who?
Mr. Raffensperger.
I can check to see. He was not here a few minutes ago. I don't know if he's come back.
Well, they just.
I saw him. He came in. I tried to answer. He won't talk to me. I tried
Will he
ask
talk
him
to us?
questions, and he closed the door in my face. Just now.
Okay. Well, I don't know anything about that. I would
Sure.
have to see
Is he
that.
in? Does he?
Care to
Does he?
have a seat? You care to have a seat? I don't know. I'm going to check.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can sit in the
Okay.
chair, man.
All right.
Oh,
Cool.
I'll stand. I'll
Oh, you
stand.
can stand too, but I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you. Wow, we might actually get in to speak to Mr. Raffensperger. Cool. Oh. We were wanting to see if we can speak to Mr. Raffensperger. They're checking now. Well, he just came in just a second ago, so we were just seeing if he's available. Okay. So you're saying that we won't be able to speak to him today? Okay. Well,
Can you
I
tell
guess.
us a better time?
Well, I can ask you to schedule us and get us information if you don't mind.
Well, I'm only going to be here for a little while, so unfortunately, I won't be able to stick around for that. But you know,
Can we help you guys?
well, we were just looking to talk to Mr. Raffensperger.
He's not available for a meeting right now, but is there anything I can help you with?
Nah, not really. We just come in to talk to him. So I appreciate it, though.
Absolutely.
And we just saw him come through and thought, wow, he's here. So we're going to try to talk to him. So.
Yeah, he's booked up, and unfortunately, we're not doing any media interviews at the moment.
Well, that's unfortunate. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I won't give anybody that till y'all get it, okay?
Look at this rowdy group of people. Wow. Look at this rowdy man. Bill Rainey. How you doing, Bill?
All right.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
What are you here for today?
Election integrity.
Well, guess what? We just saw Rad Raffensperger running into his office, and then we went in there to see if we could get an interview, and he's in meetings all day. He won't be able to take any interviews. What do you think about that?
He's still a rat. If you notice his little hole across there, you go to his office, he's always got to run out. He runs over there, and as soon as everybody's gone, he runs back to his office.
That's about what happened there. So it's good to see you, Bill Rainey.
We got the Clay Parikh in the building.
Yes. Hey. All right.
Let me talk to Clay. So, Mr. Clay Parikh, I called him Clay Parikh the Great Clay Parikh. What brings you to Georgia today?
Oh, I just want to talk about some things. These supreme voting systems that y'all have that are top line.
So wait a minute, you want to unplug Georgia too?
Oh yeah, they need to be unplugged. Because like I'm going to say, when you spend over $7 million for training, yet you got county officials that program and have tabulators closing out on December 6th for the election, I think that's an issue. And seeing 2022 date and 2024 election data, I don't know. I took math for Marines, and it still don't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
So what else at this point do you believe that the people can do? Because the election process is the thing itself. So the relief for the people is usually, hey, vote this person out of office. But it's kind of like that's the biggest caveat because the machine is the thing that we're trying to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. But here's the thing, and like in many states that I've seen, the authority has got to be taken back down to the county level, away from the Secretary of State. They're manipulating and not informing a lot of county officials. And then I hate to say it, there's obviously county officials that don't want to answer questions that should be answering questions. Because when you have 3 officials sign off that a tabulator was closed on December 6th, when it was only in November, that's an issue. And you could say it's a slight mistake, but how do you know that's correct data? How do you know logic and accuracy was performed? You can't.
So what is the best scenario right now? Give it to us, your best case scenario for voting in your professional opinion, because you have tested these machines and you've big time data guy, got all of these degrees and stuff to go along with it. What would be the best case scenario?
I'm going to tell you, we go back to hand counting ballots. I've taken hand count training. Linda Rantz, Cause of America, they've got a great course. And as a systems engineer, I can look at that stuff and see that it's scalable, it works. And luckily, when we read through our Alabama law, everything that we had to do fit right in with it, because you have to say the candidate's name. But again, we just focused on the number. And we went quickly through a contest that had 25, what do you call it? Brain fart. Races on the ballot. And that went quick and easy. And so it can be done. That's the thing, is they just don't want it done by the people.
Yeah. Well, we heard, Roy Hamburg of Small Town Underground, we're on Small Town Underground podcast right now, but he had a legislator on his show about a night and a half ago, and that the elections process came up. And he just went ahead and said it. He said, hey, if you come up with like a bill or something for elections, you're going to get when you go in the hallway, it's going to be Armageddon amongst these guys. So he said there's no real appetite for the legislators to change this. The Constitution said it's the state legislature that decides the manner in which elections occur. And if they're supposed to be, quote, representatives, they're supposed to be doing what we are telling them. What say you?
That's exactly correct. And the problem is you've got the states just ignoring it. Or when they want to try to con the people, like they did in Alabama, we had a state senator, had an election integrity bill he put forward. He basically, and the thing is I got asked to review it by one of the grassroots groups because I'd already read all of our election law. And so they basically changed some words around and went from shall to a may, and they just wordsmithed it. They still had the wrong election authority because they were still voting to the Federal Election Commission, which for the machines, it's the EAC.
So I'm sorry, but we just saw Gabe Sterling go down there. You want to go down here? Let's see if we can get him to answer a couple. Excuse us, Gabe. You got a couple of minutes. We want to ask a couple of election integrity questions. All right. So we'll wait patiently on Gabe to see if he'll answer a few questions, because there were, I guess from right here, right at these steps, he said that we've had the most safest and secure election, I guess, in 2024. And but a lot of data came out that says otherwise. So right now he's making his way, it seems like, back to his office. So we don't want to stalk him, but no, he's not listening. I think he just saw a ghost. Maybe it's the ghost of Clay Parikh that he saw. I really just think the phone call is just a sham to try to buffer your way back to your office if you really did have to use the restroom, but we'll see. Maybe he'll prove us wrong today. But yep, he slipped right back into his office, right over there. Can you get the, yep. So he will not answer any questions, and he rightfully so.
He must be in meetings all day too.
him and Rafi might be in meetings all day.
You know what I've discovered? When you're in meetings all day, you don't do any work.
So he claimed that the elections was most secure, I guess, in history or whatever. And there are videos out there on the internet. Him and Raffensperger came right to these steps. What would you say to a statement like that, given your expertise?
I'd say it's a bold-faced lie. I'm past trying to say that they, without calling it's lying. It's lying, and everybody knows it. When you're rescanning ballots, and what they've done by posting all the ballot images on the Secretary of State's site, they basically killed the chain of custody. And I see people that want to investigate their county are going to get roadblocked because the county's going to say, well, hey, the ballot images are on the Secretary of State's site. And they've been scanned after the election. There's been no MD5 hash associated with them to prove their authenticity. And so that's a major issue. They're just trying to BS the peasants, right? Georgia's just like every other state. They look on their citizenry as peasants, and they think they can just tell you whatever, and you're going to take it and go on about your business.
So our state legislature and our state government is pretty much Republican. So what I want to ask the audience is, you just heard what he just said, peasants. Does that kind of ring a bell? What did Joe Biden just call us? What did Hillary Clinton call us? This is the uniparty, in our humble opinion, at work. You just get up, you go to work every day, you go pay your taxes, and if you don't pay them on time, we're going to come and we're going to put a lien on your house. Oh, by the way, we're going to have all these H-1Bs. We got them in Gwinnett County school teachers. What do we say to these college students who have spent all this time and money going into debt, try to get an education to come out? This is the uniparty at work. And we just saw it firsthand. Oh, we don't got time to answer any questions. They got all this stuff to say about Donald Trump. But guess what he does every single time? He stands at that podium and he answers near about every question he's asked, because transparency is the cure to corruption. Tell them we're leaving. He can come back out. Tell them we've left. Come on back out.
Richard, what was you going to say? You were looking for them for why?
Cape Sterling. I was going to let them know that in the rule book, you got to have the password protected because the election management system has to be password protected, and everybody's got the password.
So that's the password, huh?
So,
DPS Corp 08.
Oh, yeah, don't tell any more people. Everybody in the world's already got it.
It's a good-looking group of people. And there's Alex Dorr, the man.
Wait a minute. All right, we're here with Senator Colton Moore. We like to call him the gold standard. This is Small Town Underground, Antonio Jones from War Room, Gwinnett County. So good to see you, Colton. We know that you came out early and talking about the Fani Willis debacle and everything, and you were throwing off some caucuses at the caucus and off of some committees. What did that look like for people who don't know the details of that, of what actually happened?
Well, so a caucus is basically a group of people that come together behind closed doors, right? So that's where all the secret talk goes down, and then they all come to a conclusion. They walk out onto the Senate floor and they vote or decide on something, and that way they can stay unified. Well, obviously the disagreement that we were having behind closed doors, they just decided to push me out so I wouldn't be a disagreement to them anymore.
So wait, you didn't get to argue your point?
Well, no, I made my point. They didn't like my point, so they just pushed me out, right? They pushed me out of the caucus. They left me out of the caucus the entire session, which in many ways was kind of liberating in a sense, because some of those caucus rules are like when a majority leader makes a motion. If you're a part of the caucus, it's against the rules to object. Well, I wasn't in the caucus anymore, so I could object and be more free and represent the people of Northwest Georgia. I think a lot of people here...
So is that basically if the leadership, if you bring up a point or say something the leadership don't like it, they can basically make a motion to silence you in that meeting, is what you're saying?
Well, that's how it happened. Now, they're going to say that, well, I broke caucus rules by attacking other members.
Well, what is their description of attacking other members? Give us that.
Trying to hold those members accountable, right? We were calling for a special session to investigate and defund Fani Willis for what she was doing, violating people's rights. It's so crazy. There was one senator, he sent an email out to all the caucus, and when Fani Willis first went down, he said, "Gentlemen," he said, "I'm so mad." He said, "I want to draw my sword." My goodness, that's pretty mad. But then when I asked him to just draw his pen and sign on to a special session, he wasn't able to just draw a pen and sign on for a special session at the time. So, it's a big old middle school drama, if you will. I still get to represent the people of Northwest Georgia just as well, and out in transparent, open manner, and not just behind closed doors. So I think it holds everybody a lot more accountable. I certainly hope that they'll let me back into the caucus, and we can continue to focus on more conservative things, because, if you're pushing me out, obviously you're pushing out the most conservative member of your caucus. Where does that send your caucus?
Well, this is a complete encapsulation of some of the main problems we have in government, because when you go against the grain like you did and you were right, they silence you, you get kicked out. But we encourage you, you got the people behind you, and this is what people want to see. And if these legislators think that this time around, based on what me, Roy, and many others have heard on the ground, that it's going to be business as usual, it is not going to be business as usual. And we won't go as far as to tell the people not to vote for Republicans, but we are going to encourage them to get something out of their vote. And if they make a decision to hold their vote, then that's completely upon them. You want to say something about that?
Yep. So I got one question for you, Senator. Thank you for all you're doing. We're out here working, and I know you're busy, so I want to make this quick. There's a lot of election integrity people here, Georgia from Truth today. We're focused yet again on a press conference at 2 p.m. There's been some talk about Dominion voting systems and some of the updates that were not done to these machines prior to 2024. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, so, the Dominion machines have been a debacle from the very get-go. The original legislative intent of those machines was supposed to be a compromise between people who wanted digital voting and people who wanted paper ballots, right? So we have a digital machine that you press your button and then it prints off a piece of paper, and both sides were supposed to be happy. The problem is when the Secretary of State didn't want to count the paper ballots, right? And then they act like, well, that was never part of the legislative debate to begin with, right? And then it took the State Elections Board to say, hey, we're going to be able to audit and count these paper ballots. Well, there's some updates, and a federal judge who was appointed by Obama actually even ask in a brief, essentially, why have you not updated the machines to the Secretary of State? And that update was going to basically be to where there was no more QR code. It was just going to look at the actual ballot itself to count the vote. And that was the original understanding all on the get-go, right? We would have the count of one count of the button, the piece of paper is 2 counts, it goes into the tabulator, that's 3 counts. But that's not what we're seeing. So there's a lot of argument, hey, the Dominion machines, they can be manipulated. I firmly believe the Dominion machines can be manipulated. But I don't have to worry about that if the piece of paper is getting counted and the final machine is getting counted and all 3 of those numbers match up.
Correct. Thank you. That's what we were hearing. I think you pinned it exactly like it was. Senator, we appreciate your time, man, and have
you guys.
Hey, how can people want to follow you? I mean, your name's getting out there. Tell them how they can find you.
So you can go to X. It's at Real Colton Moore. Also, Facebook is at Real Colton Moore. And anyway, you can go to my website too, coltonmoore.com. So. Always reach out. You can call me 423-508-2195. And I'll tell you something that's remarkable. That is the only phone I have. All right. I don't have 2 or 3 phones. I don't have like a legislator. That's the only phone I have right there. And if you call me, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can.
You got it. Thanks for all you're doing, man. You got it. Take it easy. Wow. You heard it here, folks. Check out that Dominion.
All right, gentlemen.
Mr. Raffensperger. Mr. Raffensperger, can you answer some questions today? No, not today?
All right, Small Town Underground here, War Room, Gwinnett County. Of course, at the Capitol. Here is the man of the hour, Garland Favorito. Garland, I just want to pick your brain for a second. And personally, I have not got to watch it yet, but everybody is talking about your most recent Dominion lecture that you did. So kind of give us up to speed. How's things looking?
Yeah, the bottom line is we're down here today to make sure that the legislators know how bad this Dominion system, it really is. It exceeded my wildest expectations, but we put together all the forensic evidence in the last conference from around the country, different states. They're all using the same Democracy Suite 5.x series system, and it just has massive security problems. We're going to be talking about those today. I'm going to try to summarize that whole 1-hour press conference up into 10 minutes for you today. It's going to be quick.
All right. I spoke to a legislator. It was on my show last night. We talked a lot about Dominion, about getting rid of Dominion. He basically said that you even mentioned getting rid of Dominion down here at the Gold Dome. You're kind of run out of the room. He said that there's no action that will be taken by this legislature to remove Dominion, and that it's a contract and they won't go back on it. What do you make of that?
Well, the contract is up for renewal this year, and the contract specifies a barcode tabulation, which is illegal according to Georgia law. Therefore, the contract is void and null. That's not an issue.
And let me add to that, our Senator Colton Moore was telling us that the original contract, which is supposed to provide at least 3 different layers of protection, that with this last update that our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, did not do, that would have actually provided yet another paper source to track these ballots with. And they didn't update it, correct?
Yeah, well, that's a possibility. But the bottom line is, we go with Dr. Halderman's report. He says there is not nothing that you can do because it was not designed with enough security in mind when it was built, that there is really, it can't be retrofitted with the appropriate security. So there's no reason to spend $47 million for a patch system when for the same amount of money you can implement a new hand-marked paper ballot, hand-counted system that everybody trusts and probably actually save a few million in the process.
That's 100% correct. And I one more question, just pick your brain. The Totenberg trial, the recent that came out, what are your thoughts on that? I thought it was a little, it was lackadaisical at best. I wasn't, tell me what you think about the Totenberg.
Well, we're still waiting for the final hearing. We've been waiting now for months. And that's becoming an obstacle because there's some folks down here, the legislature, don't want to move until that, that case is resolved. So
right, it's just more of the same, basically. It's just more pages coming out about nothing. They're not ruling on anything, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen the latest yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's standard procedure. They just continue to just kick the can down the road, and that's why we're here yet again. Garland, thanks for all you do. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Roy.
Small Town Underground here with Mark Swanson from Floyd County. You probably have recognized him. We've done a couple shows together. We'll do many more. As you no doubt know, he has exposed a lot of the election integrity issues in Floyd County. So I just want to talk to you for a second. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. It's been a fun day at the Capitol.
Oh yeah, it's always fun down here on opening day. So I just thought maybe since we're here together, you can give us a little bit of an update on what you're doing. You know, we follow all of your information coming out, and we know that you're working hard over there. So what's things looking like in Floyd?
Well, we got a lot of things coming together. We've been ordering a lot of open records requests since the election occurred, and we have found even more stuff that shows us that it might be worse in the 24 election than it was in prior elections.
Wow.
At least from what I'm seeing. But in this one, we began to kind of see that it's beyond Floyd County. We're starting to see some things in the data from the reports we're getting out of the computer system that there's some connections going on at levels above Floyd.
Right.
And there's some manipulation going on. And so we're preparing for a lawsuit against our county about elections. And of course, I've already got a civil lawsuit in place for my false arrest and false imprisonment. And, we got our foot on the gas.
I hear you, Mark. We're going to try to get you back on the show soon. Of course, I wanted to try to chronicleize this. We just kind of pick up where we left off and as your journey goes. So any indication that they're going to drop the false arrest against you? Have they still haven't dropped it yet, have they?
So the false arrest, actually, the 2-year anniversary was the 10th of this month. So just a few days ago was the 2-year anniversary. It's a misdemeanor charge. They just let it float. They didn't drop it. It's on my record, and it will be until I take legal action, which I'm in the process of doing. So, but it's ironic because that arrest happened in January of 23, but in November of this year, our dangerous DA convinced the grand jury to indict me for obstruction related to that false arrest.
That's right.
And so now she's brought a grand jury into her criminal activity. And so we're going to be adding names to our suit. They don't have any options. They just don't realize it yet.
Well, Mark, we're certainly grateful for everything that you're doing in Floyd County. It's always a pleasure to see you, man. You keep up the great work, all right?
Absolutely. We'll
all
do
right.
it. Thanks.
Let's go on. Just jump right into it. So election integrity is a big issue. Of course, I know you know that. You're Make Georgia Great Again, Make America Great Again, America First, Georgians First, working middle class people.
Yes, sir.
So Small Town Underground had a guest on the other night who's a state legislator here. And he just basically asked me, it's like, well, what's going on with why can't we just kind of asked him, why can't we just get rid of the machines? There's an outcry for it. We can't verify. A lot of people saying that you can't certify these machines. They're actually illegal on their face. So he basically told Roy on his show that, if you say anything about election integrity or from the aspect of getting rid of these machines, that you're going to have people pretty much all over you. And so what say you? Because we've come to the conclusion that we're not going to just blindly vote for Republicans like that anymore. We need to get something for our vote. What is your position on that, for hearing that?
We've got a truckload of evidence. We know that. We know that they have refused to hear the cases, but we've got the evidence. I think the pendulum is getting ready to swing in a hard way on the 20th of January. And once that momentum and that pendulum crosses the center line on the 20th, I think that everything is going to crumble of all of the people that have been hiding, people that have been stealing from us, people that have been lying to us. I think all of the fraud is going to be brought to the surface, and there's going to be no shame. I mean, they're going to go down.
So what would you say to, as far as in Georgia? And we're going to need some top down. I agree with you. The Department of Justice needs to get involved. This is a federal election because it seems like we just can't get our state from a leadership side of things, meaning the governor, secretary of state, that whole crowd, to listen to the people, let the evidence come forth and actually change and go to a different system that's able to be verified and that we can confidently certify and accept the results thereafter. So what would you say to the legislature who has the plenary authority to decide the manner in which elections occur in the state of Georgia this session moving forward. Are you willing to wait forever for them to make this change? And should we have to wait for the Department of Justice when we have our own legislators right here who can make that change?
Well, number one, I think they're all embarrassed and afraid to make a change because a lot of these legislators voted for Dominion a few years ago, and so they're going to have egg on their face that they made a mistake, and so I think you've got that mental barrier right there, that pride barrier that's got to be broken down, and it's got to be shown in their face. Okay, maybe you did make a mistake. Maybe you got sucked into voting for Dominion, like we legislators get sucked into voting for all kind of crap bills. But it's time to man up. It's time to do the right thing for the American people, for the state of Georgia, to purify our elections, to go back to paper ballots, hand marked, hand counted at the precinct level on the day of election, one day only.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for all your work you do. You and Ron Hooper with the MAGA group, you guys do a great job. And that event that you guys had with General Michael Flynn that I had the pleasure of being part of was very nice.
That was a great team effort. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting booty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsements from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign.